And are you worried about your job prospects once you graduate?
I don't want to think about it yet, so I don't know.
I don't really know what I'm going to do. If this is going to be my only degree, I might come back for another one. So I haven't really thought about that, and I don't really want to think about it right now.
A little bit, because I know that employment is like really difficult. Everyone's having trouble. Even people who have university degrees have trouble finding jobs. But for some reason, I like to be optimistic, and with optimism, hopefully it will get me somewhere.
I'm not too worried about it at the moment.
And why is that?
I have faith. I have hope. I'd be fine with working in a whole lot of different places, whatever happens, and I'm not too worried.
I wish I could get into a room with Canadians and say, you guys need to wake up. You need to wake up, because the world is changing. You're not, as I said, you're not competing with one another. You're competing with the world, and you need to get going.
I was there just to get my degree and get out, and I was going to be partner at some firm and make $250,000 a year, and things were going to be great. Stop! That's not how it goes at all, right?
I think it was my last year university when I realized, like, I really need to do something or else I can't find a job, because when you look at the requirements, they expect their junior people to have 2-3 years of experience. I'm like, who the hell has that?
The typical kind of public school education system has a tendency to be a little bit passive in nature. You're not looking at yourself and saying, what do I need to learn this week to be successful? What are the skill deficits that I have that are starting to become more notable?
From a consumer perspective, I can also take that sort of, if you think you're purchasing a product or something, why would I go out and spend money, which I often don't have and I have to borrow, right? To invest on getting an education in something, and I don't even really understand what I'm going to be doing at the end.
My name is Dennis.
And I am Clinton.
In 2014, we experienced a fundamental shift in our lives. We graduated from university and entered the real world.
What happened in the following several months was a series of experiences that drove us to pack our lives into the back of a two-door Chevrolet and set out on a 4-month journey across Canada.
When I graduated, I thought that I had it all figured out. I ended up on a co-op, transitioned nicely into work, full-time work, with benefits, all the things you could possibly want. But then, a couple of months down the road, I realized that I wasn't happy. I was waking up every morning asking myself, why am I doing this?
I just kind of put my blinders on and I did school, and then I left with no game plan, no aspirations to really do anything, and found myself working at Target selling cell phones with a bachelor's degree. What the hell is that?
Worst of all, we weren't alone. Our friends were going through similar challenges. Many moved back into their parents' basements and took up minimum wage jobs just to survive.
Needless to say, we weren't happy with the way our lives had turned out.
We often joked about leaving Victoria behind and traveling across the country for one reason or another. However, on one particularly difficult day, that conversation became real when we realized that we literally had nothing to lose by leaving our lives behind.
We decided to hit the road and drive coast to coast from Victoria to Halifax while filming a documentary called Road to Employment. Our goal was simple: to speak with fellow graduates, employers, career developers, and identify actionable strategies to help youth find meaningful and relevant work.
70% of all jobs in Vancouver are given for networking. I found my job here for networking. It's about knowing someone. Jobs are given for word of mouth. Only around 30% of jobs are posted, actually, so you can apply for them. And even when they're posted, it's a good thing to know someone already in the system.
Okay, I have a new accounting job, right? It's a junior role. I could post it, or, hey, guess what? I already know Bob's looking. Bob's already done X, Y, Z. He's starting to learn the culture. He's starting to learn the people. He's doing what he can on his own, ambition, all that stuff. Why bother post it? Let's just hire Bob, right? The hidden job market isn't magical of, ooh, I have a job, let's just randomly, go to the mall and find someone, right? It's all about knowing someone who already has expressed interest in wanting this job.
It's true, the hidden job market is real. And the majority of jobs, they're never posted online.
Which totally makes sense as an employer. Are you going to hire somebody because you read about them on a piece of paper, or because their coworker or friend personally recommended them?
So I think one of the things that we tend to do in our very technology-heavy world is we like to spend a lot of time online, right? If I can go online and I can find 5 jobs online and I can apply online, that's awesome. Right? I can kind of do it all from the comfort of my home in my pajamas or whatever. It's easy, seemingly easy. What I find is that the majority of people that use that online kind of strategy for applying for jobs aren't getting the responses that they want.
And you're online and you've sent out 200 resumes and you don't get any responses. And people question because they say, oh, well, isn't everything online now? Well, no.
So usually I will get calls after they've been applying online for weeks, months, sometimes. The panicked call, I've been applying for work, mom and dad say I have to get out of the basement by the end of next month, they're sick and tired of, taking care of me. And so when we talk about going out and actually meeting people, have you been out, have you gone and visited these employers, have you made some online connections and then transferred that into an in-person visit, people look at me like I have 3 heads. You want me to what? Go out and talk to people?
Yes, you need to talk to people. The takeaway is simple. Network, network, network.
How many times have you guys heard, it's not what you know, it's who you know?
It's the most cliche work-seeking statement ever.
And she's going on and on during her presentation going networking, and she's talking about networking and networking. And I'm like, seriously, it probably came up 6 times. And it's something that we hear so much, it kind of maybe goes over our head or something.
Dennis, tell me, what do you think of when you hear the word networking?
Oh, I think of the cliche networking session. You suit up like Barney Stinson, bring your business cards, and enter a room full of people that you don't know, standing around little groups that is one of the most difficult things to break into.
I find it awkward. I'm always the guy who's in the corner, not knowing how to interact with everybody else. It's a really weird scenario, those networking events.
Yeah, but the reality is that not all networking is like that. There's so many easier and better ways to network.
And it really starts by connecting with the people you already know, your friends, your family, your coworkers.
When I went in and talked to Steve about you two coming down, there's 2 ways I could have played that. I could have said, yeah, there's a couple of guys coming down, they're friends of Liam's, and they want to talk to you, and they're making a video, right? But instead, I gave you the kudos you guys deserve, which was to say, yeah, there's a couple of people who've been by the house, and they're making a film about employment across Canada. They're moving across Canada, and they're checking things out. And they're here in Kamloops, and they want to, so on and so forth. And caught Steve right off guard. I don't know if you noticed, but I think he was thoroughly enthralled with it. He loved it. He really thought something of what you were trying to do. So.
We learned about the informational interview technique when we were visiting Vancouver. And I'm going to be real, that changed my approach to job seeking forever.
It is so crazy, and one of these things that it's so simple, it has to work. It involves just calling people up, asking for opportunities to meet with them in a very informal session where it's really just based off you pursuing your own curiosities and interests.
taking somebody out for a coffee goes a long way. And coming at them, not asking for a job, just asking to learn more about the work environment, learn more about that company, that goes a long way, and people will see right through it if you're asking for a job versus if you're just genuinely interested. So find those companies early on, the ones that you want to work for, and get in touch with them.
It was beautiful because I got to meet all these people who then I got to ask questions and learn about how they did things, why they did things. Then got connected to other people. So they'd be like, you're doing this? You should talk to my friend in San Francisco. And then being linked from him to another person who is a great networker and connector in San Francisco. And then he linked me over to New York, a man in New York that I could go talk to, and who was involved in tech and you know, all these sorts of things. And it was this amazing, beautiful series of connections that wouldn't have happened unless I opened myself up to the vulnerability and said, this is what I'm doing, I'm trying to achieve this. Do you know anyone that can help me do this?
And it also works the other way around, because even though there's not a job there and you don't go in to apply for a job, you go in to get information. That's why it's an informational interview, an informational session. The employer also, he gets to sit down and talk to you. And you can tell a little bit about yourself. And you know, most bigger companies always have jobs coming up.
I don't want you guys to get all confused about semantics. Networking, informational interviews, coffee dates, whatever you want to call them. What we're trying to say is that in order to find new opportunities, it starts with meeting new people.
And honestly, pretty much everything's a networking opportunity. As soon as you take a step outside of the house, you're meeting new people all the time, as long as you open yourself up to the opportunity. And there's so many great ways to do it. Travel, volunteering, joining clubs, anything and everything, really. But what it really boils down to is just simple relationship building.
So I started as a volunteer as an account executive where I was helping with the campaign. Actually this year, it all happened really quickly. And my role was to help facilitate conversations between United Way and potential donors or people that wanted to partner. So I would kind of tap into my networking and have this meeting with a staff person from United Way. Anyways, that volunteering opportunity led me to meet the person that was hiring for a campaign manager position. So when a friend told me about the posting, I was like, I don't know, I've only been there for like a month. I don't really know people yet. And then I saw his name, I found out who was hiring, and immediately the sparks started to fly. So I emailed him personally and said, hey, I'm interested. And because I've already established that relationship, and I already had my feet wet in the organization, it was hugely beneficial. I don't even know if I would have got an interview without that relationship.
We were on the road for 4 months, traveling the world's second largest country.
And we didn't have the money to spend every night in a hotel. So we asked the people we met to welcome us into their homes. We couch surfed with over 36 people, sleeping on floors and couches. Occasionally, we were lucky enough to get spare beds. That was the best.
However, sometimes we weren't as fortunate, and we had to sleep in the car or even the side of the road.
As you can probably tell, we just woke up. We're in the middle of the woods, somewhere not too far from Vernon, and this is where we slept.
When we're driving in here, we're talking about how funny it would be, like, eaten by a bear, like, mauled by wolves or whatever.
So overall, positive experience, right?
Positive experience,
we
yeah.
didn't get eaten by a bear or anything, so I'll call that a win. I'll call that a win.
It was dark, it was about 10:30 at night, and we tried sleeping in the car, but I wanted more leg room, so I came out here and we sprawled out, and literally, I don't know if you can see the dirt, we'll film it later, I guess, but it's literally just like a road.
Looking back, Beaver Lake was a less than desirable place to spend the night, but it was a good learning experience. You need to understand that when things go bad, you just need the persistence to get past that. And that's true when it comes to life and job seeking.
When I graduated, got into this other position and figured out that it wasn't a great mesh, basically I said, well, if I'm going to stay in Victoria, I only want to work for Neverblue. So upon much more research into it and basically harassment in the sense of I submitted my resume, followed up with an email and a LinkedIn message to the HR person. Then after no response from that, I showed up at the door, had a sit down, a bit of a chat with a couple of people, and then after a couple of weeks of no response from that, I showed up again, and just kind of evolved. And you have to be persistent, for sure.
I like it when somebody's really persistent and comes, like, phones after the interview and thanks you for it, or follows up a week later and asks how the process is going or when they should expect to hear back. Because it's really, really common with the interview process that, the really basic questions at the end of the interview, I would ask the person, when can you start? And usually they would ask, when will I let them know? Like, when am I done? And usually the hiring process takes way longer than I thought. You got to get HR involved to make an offer, so I try to be pessimistic when I say when I'll get back to them, but quite often I haven't made the decision yet, and it is good to hear back that, this person cares enough to phone and do a follow-up. That's nice.
I used to work at Neverblue. Steve was my boss. We had a position open for quite a while, actually, for about a month and a half. And I remember hearing that someone kept messaging, calling, emailing Steve, asking about the position, whether it's still open, whether they found someone. And then once the position was finally filled, I remember seeing it's Kirsten. I actually didn't connect the dots beforehand. And later on, talking to her, I found out that it was her that kept messaging and emailing and calling Steve over and over again. And that for him, it kept her top of mind. And it made it that persistence and that, will of power that she wanted that job and she worked to get that job. It meant so much to both Steve and her, that persistence paid off. Of course, all that said, finding your dream job takes time. You can't expect it to happen overnight. You have to put some blood, sweat, and tears into it.
August, September, October, and November, that's when I was looking for my job. It's really, really hard. And you don't want to go out. You don't want to see people. You don't want to talk to people because every time you talk to people, people are like, oh, so did you find a job yet? Well, how are you doing with the job search? And they're being nice about it. It's just you take it very personally and you're like, don't remind me I suck.
But as soon as you start to give up and stop looking, you've basically guaranteed you're not going to find anything. The no doesn't mean anything. Half the time, it just means that they don't think you'll fit with that group, or you're not a fit with their particular ideologies for the company. Doesn't mean they don't think you're skilled and they don't want your skill set. They just don't think you'll fit. That's a big one. Hearing no is always hard when you're looking for work, and it's a crippling thing. You stop wanting to apply and stop wanting to work.
There's so many things that discourage you and make you think, you sit down alone and you're just like, wow, everyone's doing something and moving on, and here I am, the same person. I haven't changed. I'm not new. I'm not bigger, better, all these things. And that's really discouraging, and it's really hard. And there's some days where you're like, I'm laying here in bed and it's very hard to get out of this bed.
I felt like I wasn't ever going to be able to get out of the hole that I was in.
So when you were at the, I hope you don't mind sharing, at the moment where you were possibly, at the lowest of the low, what inspired you to, push yourself through that and then find the motivation necessary to get to the next step?
Well, see, what happened with me was I had gotten fired from working at the grocery store because I was, as I said, I didn't have motivation. Yeah. I didn't want to do my work, so I was just being lazy, and I got fired. About a week later, I get a call from my dad telling me that my mother died, and she had a brain tumor. So she was in the hospital already. It's not like she just dropped dead. She was already in the hospital. and he called me and said, you know, your mom's gone, and it was really, really hard for me. And I kind of went into hiding. I was kind of a shut-in for a few weeks. I didn't do anything, and then I thought to myself one day. I woke up one morning, and I said to myself, I said it out loud. I said, "What am I doing, just laying here?" You know, I couldn't understand what I was doing. Like, would my mother want me to just be laying here, you know, sobbing and not doing anything? You know, like, that's not going to bring her back. Nothing's going to bring her back. But what is going to be the best for me is to honor her, because she always wanted me to find what I really, really wanted in life, and I was never able to do it. So I kicked myself in the one morning and just said, you know what, I'm gonna do what my mother would have wanted me to do, and I'm gonna find the thing that I want to do. If somebody's going through a struggle, you know, just know that you'll eventually get out of it, because I did.
Yeah.
Because pain only lasts for a little while, you know.
It pushes you to fight through it.
Yeah, it might last for a day, a week, or even a year, but eventually pain will subside. I don't mean just physical pain, I mean mental pain as well. And that's what happened with me. I felt like I wasn't ever going to be able to get out of the hole that I was in, and I finally did. Here I am, you know. And if someone's watching this that wants something so bad but can't seem to get it, just remember that you need the motivation to make yourself go.
It's not easy to be noticed as a young person because everyone's trying to be noticed at the same time, but you're going to have to burn calories to do it. There's nothing more than just making sure that you aren't sitting on the couch waiting for opportunities to come to you, aren't expecting because you're bright and because you were chased down by universities that the opportunities are going to come to you. You have to be prepared to go and get them.
Ask some hard questions. I mean, I've dealt with this for a very long time, and not enough students take responsibility for their life.
Your potential is way greater than you could ever conceive in that moment. And if you allow yourself, you will grow at a rapid rate and you'll discover that potential.
As long as you don't get discouraged, as long as you can wake up the next day and then, you know, eventually get yourself to the point where, okay, there's something to look forward to somewhere along the way and I can keep working towards this. Or maybe I've realized this isn't the thing I want to work towards and there's something else. It's okay to change direction too and pivot.
Being bold it's going after those jobs or going after that industry that you want to get into and connecting and putting your name out there. Rather than just standing back doing all the right things that university tells you to get the right job or to get those right grades. Do all that, but make yourself noticeable.
You got to get up in the morning, you got to do your things, and you got to work at McDonald's. But eventually you will get what you dreamed for. If you want it, and you want it bad enough that you're going to work for it every day, you will get it.
So we're gonna get our business cards because we're businessmen. We got our little folio thing here. Oh yeah, organization is cool.
Yeah, save those receipts for tax purposes. Well, this is for the camera! For the camera, dude! For the camera, bro!
Oh man! Oh, we're stopping. We're exercising because we've been in the car a long time. Long time driving. Not me. I've been not driving, but still. I'm here for moral support, you know.